Hello, everyone, and welcome to your Daily Detroit. It is a rainy July 10th, 2024. I am Jer, stays coming to you from the studio at Tech Town, and across the table from me is none other than the Prince of Brightmoor, Norris Howard. How are you, sir?
Back one more time in the studio as we sit back and relive the hurricane winds and rains and
Burl.
Yeah, it's going down. You know, I've cracked up because that was the name of the first villain from Sailor Moon, Queen Beryl.
See, I thought like this would be like the neighborhood mama that fixed you a plate.
No,
No?
Sailor Moon.
Sailor Moon, okay.
No, we ain't had no barrels. We did have Ernestine, Geraldine, and a
Lots
few
of
other
Eens.
Eens, a lot of Eens, Christines, a lot of that.
I want to remind folks that if you are listening to this within the next 24 hours or so, we have a happy hour coming to the Royce in downtown Detroit, 4 to 7 p.m. Norris Howard, are you excited?
I'm very excited. First of all, I'm excited about the reception we've gotten. So to all the listeners who've already RSVP'd, thank y'all so much. It's been very heartening, and we're already working on the next one based off of that, and we will tell you about that later. But the one at the Royce, I'm super excited about. Great ownership team over there, great space that I personally go to quite a bit because I consider myself sort of a amateur wine connoisseur. So I'm very excited.
And it's brought out a different crowd, I think.
Yeah, it's brought out a different crowd. Listen, cocktails are cool, but not everybody can be Don Draper. And so we love the fact that more of you all are coming out to check us out at the Royce. So let's crack open a glass of wine, chill, catch up, learn a little bit more about each other, and hopefully see each other again at this one and the next.
For those who have watched Mad Men, there are pluses and severe negatives to being Don Draper.
Yes, because he's not actually Don Draper, but let's keep going.
Look, I think there's pretty much one story we're going to start with and see if we've got time for something else today, because it's dead. The Target in Midtown, that whole idea is dead. Cranes Detroit has a report on this, that the 32,000 square foot proposed Target store in the Brush Park neighborhood is officially canceled due to project delays and complications. Despite this, the developer, City Club Apartments, intends to proceed with building 350 apartments at the site and will seek another national retailer to replace Target. The announcement follows Target's decision to close several stores nationwide, citing safety concerns and unsustainable business performance. The project at Mack and Woodward, look, there's Target and then there's this project, and I feel like we have been talking about it for years, and so I am skeptical, Norris Howard. I understand what they're saying. I understand the report. I'll link to it in the show notes. I am skeptical when any project takes more than like a year or two to raise money.
And you should. And you absolutely should. And, you know, I'm going to be honest when I say this. You know, City Club, which if you are unfamiliar with them as a developer, they own the old Trolley Plaza and manage that building, as well as the apartment building directly next to it, that newer apartment building right there on Washington Boulevard and Grand Circus.
The old site of the Statler Hotel.
That's correct. So just to, you know, give you some sort of illustration on the developer and what they kind of currently own in city limits, as well as a few other apartments across the metro area. But I remember that new apartment at the old Statler Hotel, that site, and I remember how long it took them to get that off the ground. And so when I saw that City Club was taking this site and I saw they wanted to put a Target into it, unfortunately, I kind of sat back and I said, I don't think that's happening, because when you have big anchor stores like that, they want you to move fast. They want to get it up. They want to get the employees in because they got to start making money quick. And this also follows, as you talked about the stores that were closing, it does follow and scan the fact that they are looking to invest more in their full-size stores. The full-size stores is what makes them money. The small-size ones aren't as profitable right now.
Though we're seeing some success with them in different cities. I mean, look, downtown Ann Arbor has a city Target. It seems kind of crazy, but you know, you pull apart the numbers and you realize that like downtown Detroit still has some work to do with density. I want to talk about a few things. I think one, where could we put a city Target in Metro Detroit? And then 2, ideas about maybe full-size Targets, because I think a lot of people, look, when I talk to listeners, they're like, I want Target. Like, people like chains as much as there's going to be some hate on the comments. Like,
No, but Target is heat. Like, if there's a chain to put somewhere, I don't know many people who just hate Target.
Okay, so let's split this up in a couple of ways. Let's talk about maybe city Targets, and then I'll talk about maybe east side, and you take the west side.
Sure.
Because you know what? I'm not as familiar, so let's talk about it. So I think first when it comes to city Targets, I have a couple of wildcat ideas for where you could stick one.
Yeah.
I think one right near here near the studio.
Yeah, North End.
Well, you think North End? So
like North
what about
End,
that?
New Center area.
Okay, that comes up with another idea then, because I was just walking by it. Remember that old like Value World by the People's Food Co-op that's been sitting empty?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be a great spot? This is pure speculation, everyone.
You know, for me, I actually think even a little bit closer down towards campus, because if you're going to build a city Target, I think one of the main things you actually need is you need people to be able to kind of get there on foot, and you need people to be able to kind of get there quickly. And so I think because, the Q line, that's just north of where the Q line stops. Mm-hmm. So I think if you're still able to put it somewhere, even if you can't put it directly on the Woodward corridor, I think you should be a little bit closer to Wayne State. I'm trying to think of a vacant lot that's big enough, but there's a spot right here on the other side of 94, just across from the Carhartt store over there, that I think if you put it right there or put it close to there, that could be a good move.
So at 32,000 square feet, I think you can go into an existing building.
Absolutely.
So I think one idea that I have that's crazy and very personally interested, with all the housing happening around this neighborhood in Techtown, what about the building we're staring at across the street? With all the retail space in the ground floors.
But it's
the
so
old
pretty.
WeWork, the downstairs aren't pretty. So the upstairs, the meeting area is pretty, but the downstairs is just white box space.
I feel you, but I just...
And then you do stuff up top.
Just don't... I just want them to do something like more meaningful with
Okay,
that.
well, what about another one I thought? What about the bottom of the Albert Kahn Apartments in New Center? Be an anchor that draws some stuff around there, because New Center's always been an area where it's like almost going and you're still near a Q-line
What
stop.
about just in the Fisher?
I don't know if there's enough room in there.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is.
See, I think across from the Fisher there is a lot better.
Maybe. Either way, right there. The Boulevard and Cass.
What about the ideas some people have thrown out there of maybe doing it in Hudson's Tower, downtown, the new one being built?
That's not the worst idea in the world. I think that spot is going to want a lot of foot traffic, so why not? I actually think that might be phenomenal. Low key.
Again, all speculation here. I'm going to go east side.
Okay.
Crazy ideas.
Okay.
City Target in the bottom of the Vanity Ballroom, and you fix the upstairs. Jefferson Chalmers, and you lock up that Grosse Pointe market.
Yeah.
You get in Grosse Pointe.
Yeah. That could
and
move.
You got the bus line and all that connecting to downtown and the east side.
That could move. I think that could be not the worst idea in the world, Jer.
Okay. All right. As far as city Targets, I have an unpopular opinion.
Okay.
It is possible that maybe the area near downtown Royal Oak would get a city Target before the city of Detroit.
Maybe. And
more money, more people.
But the only reason why I say maybe is because I feel like Royal Oak doesn't want that kind of traffic in the downtown area. I feel like they so want that to remain small business. There's no...
They've built way different, right? The buildings they've built are not that.
But there's no chains down there virtually at all. Like, the only chain that's down there is Buffalo Wild Wings. Like, outside of that, those are all small businesses. Even the Hopcat ain't there no more. So I think Target could work. Does Royal Oak actually want it is the question.
Well, that kind of gets into that whole idea that Royal Oak's been wrestling with for a while. Like, what is it?
What is
Especially
Royal Oak?
Like north versus south. There's a lot of identity going in there because you see the new construction going up. Honestly, it all looks like buildings that should be built down here.
Yeah, facts. I completely agree with that. But I want to talk about City Target on the west side. You know where I want it? Avenue of Fashion.
Really?
Avenue of Fashion, man. Get all the university districts. You got U.D. right down the street. You got
great household incomes as far as a business perspective. You have both University District, you have Palmer Park, Palmer Woods, Sherwood Forest, Bagley, Ferndale. You have a bunch of things right there.
Right there. You put it right there, and now you're bringing in a whole different type of clientele to that area who are going to walk around and look at all other stuff going on over there, and it might be the thing that helps to sort of build the use case for finishing a lot of the sort of proposed apartment projects that they want to put over there, because there was a number of developments on Livernois 7 Mile that have broke ground but haven't been completed or maybe have stalled. I think this would help boost that those projects.
What about full-size format stores?
Grand River and Greenfield.
Okay.
Giant mammoth store, huge lot, huge plot, already made to be a full-size Target.
Grand River is a big bus line, so if you are downtown, you could run up there really quick.
Yeah, just do it, man. And here's the thing about the West Side, though, is that unlike the East Side, which is much larger in landmass, the proximity to other Targets is actually not that bad. Like, you have 2 Targets in Dearborn that are not that far from most of the West Side. You have other sort of big box retail. You got the Meyer on Grand River and Losser. So big box stores exist out there, and you can go. But
you got the Meyer.
You got the Meyer.
Whereas, like the East Side, you don't have, like, you've got a big hole from that whole East Side, not just the city of Detroit, but, like, you got a minute to go east for some of that stuff.
Oh, yeah. I mean, even the points are a little bit underserved when it comes to big box stores. So I can see the use case or the use of putting one over there even before anywhere on the East Side. And you know that's hard for me to say.
Oh, you mean the West Side? You couldn't even bring yourself to say that they would be better on you. You basically, like, Freudian slipped.
I did. No, it would be better on the East Side than on the West. It would. The points in the East Side is underserved when it comes to big box retail, and I think the West Side just is a little bit more planned out for that, and they have more over there. So yeah, put it on the East Side first.
Let's continue our talk about various chain places. Let's talk about Sheetz.
Okay, so really break this down for me, because people are losing their minds over this gas station or whatever it is, and I don't get it.
Combination gas station, convenience store, like fast food spot.
But that's like every gas station.
But, like, it's good.
Is it?
So it's better than most. So, okay, unpopular opinion, you're going to throw me here.
Okay.
Gas stations in Metro Detroit are either really great or trash.
Facts.
There's no in between.
No, that's facts.
And so either the food's really good, you can get, like, great Mediterranean, you can get whatever.
Tasty burgers. That's
right,
a gas station.
Right? Or it's like that dumb stuff that's, like, wrapped in plastic and tastes like plastic.
Yeah.
So Sheetz is pretty standard quality as far as, like, it's going to taste like decent fast food.
Okay.
It is lots of gas pumps. It's open 24/7, and it's got a little bit of a convenience store aspect to it. They're a little bit larger. I've been to them in multiple states.
Okay.
While doing road trips and whatever. And they're looking at coming to Michigan. Well, they're already coming to Michigan. They're coming to Romulus. That store on Wick Road near Vining is already under construction.
Yep.
But there's talk about doing a ton of them.
Well, weren't they talking about putting one out there in Macomb County, and the people revolted?
A couple of them, actually, at different places, or Oakland County near the Macomb border and some stuff. And there's a lot of like pushback for this because, one, some people don't want 24-hour stores near them.
I get
That's
it.
one thing. Other people talk about traffic because they're worried that more people will come to the area and it'll be difficult for them to use. I would argue there's already gas stations.
Let me say this right now to everybody out there in Oakland and Macomb County and all out there in the suburbs, all right? We live in a place with no public transit. If you want less traffic, invest in public transit. Sorry, folks. Just putting that out there. I mean, if that's a concern of yours, maybe we should rethink traffic. I don't know.
Well, considering that's not happening tomorrow, that is definitely a concern with it. And then you've got some business owners who, it's like, well, this is a national chain, maybe, franchises, things like this is going to impede on their territory. I'll be honest, like if your station sucks, then yes.
Yeah,
it's so much better. So that's the thing. It as a chain, as much as I'm not like the biggest chain guy, if you're traveling, it's consistent. Mm-hmm. If you're into fast food, chicken tenders, burgers, whatever, it's got it.
Okay.
And it's always clean. And so if you are the middle, lower tier or lower of gas station, yeah, I get why you're worried because people are going to want to go there.
Yeah, and I guess I suppose you would be scared, kind of like our conversation about like the food label, the food labels coming to the city of Detroit. It's like if you're afraid of this, that lets me know that you weren't doing what you were supposed to do. So I guess I could see it. A gas station don't move me, man. Like, cause outside of going in to buy some packs of Orbit, I don't really get food from gas stations. So I'm there to get gas, which I already am mad about because I don't want to buy gas.
Well, there's a lot of support for combustion engines in Metro Detroit, to say the least.
I know.
And I think that off-rip, the Romulus location makes so much sense.
Yeah,
as you're coming into Metro
airport.
Detroit, near the airport, driving through, that kind of thing, I think it makes a ton of sense. I wonder if you start with a high number and then you end a little bit lower. Like, for instance, remember Chicken Guy opened up like a year ago in Livonia, and that was grand opening, grand closing.
Yeah.
That was done, recently announced, done after just a year. Me and Randy checked it out. And it's like, I think a lot of people have these ideas of like huge expansion, and it's like, wait a second, we need to actually like get into this place and get approvals and all that other stuff.
Yeah, and I also just think, looking at certain locations, I mean, here's how I feel. I feel like what you described is like that should be, along road trip corridors, right? And I'm like, if you're trying to put one in like, I don't know, like Sterling Heights somewhere, like
the current one under debate is Farmington Hills, I believe, 12 in Middle Belt.
That's not, no one's taking a road trip through 12 in Middle Belt. I'm sorry. Like, that's not, if you would have told me, hey, this is going to be on 94 and in Manchester, or this is going to be on 75 up past Saginaw or something like that.
Or even just off a 75 corridor anyway. Even if it's
cool.
Local, but it's off a 75 corridor.
That's cool. Even 96, somewhere in between Lansing and Grand Rapids. I get that. Those are all road trippy type corridors. But come on, man. Farmington, come on.
No hate on Sheetz, but if we're going to be talking about road trip places, I'd rather have a Buc-ee's.
I don't know any of these places because if I'm driving more than 2 hours, I'm flying, okay? Like, I hate road trips.
Okay.
I hate road trips.
That's the question. dailydetroit@gmail.com. What is your difference between road trip and flying? For me, 8 hours or less, road trip.
8 hours?
8 hours or less.
Ridiculous.
Me and Randy went to Memphis like that.
Ugh. The longest I've ever driven myself was to D.C., and I'm never doing that again.
Oh, see, I love a great road trip.
Nope.
You get road snacks. You get beautiful vistas. Tennessee, went down to Sevierville. I'm not sure how I'm supposed to say it, but the home of Dolly Parton. Because you know what? I love Dolly Parton.
I'm not driving nowhere where I might need a green book, Jer. So I'm
That's
just,
that is fair.
Just keeping it honest.
But so would you drive to Chicago? Because you don't need a green book in Chicago.
That's 4 hours, but if I have to. Even that's if I have to.
So there's both the time factor and the green book factor, which, by the way, we should tell people what the green book is in case they don't know.
Oh, yeah. That was just a little book that all black folks had in the South way, way back in the pre-segregation times that basically told all black folks what places were safe to stop at and what places weren't. So it still actually existed well into the 80s and 90s. It was a thing that existed even within my lifetime. I think my grandma had a copy of the Green Book, but she never drove. So I have no idea why she had one. But I've seen one. I've held one. It's a real thing. And yeah, so.
Mason-Dixon line is kind of the rule of thumb for you.
Pretty much. DC was pushing it.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
DC was pushing it. I'll go longitudinally. Like,
I would love to hear your thoughts on this thing. Distance of time and where you go, and if you feel weird driving to different places depending on how you sit with things. dailydetroit@gmail.com. Would love to hear from you. Norris Howard, I appreciate you. Thank you for spending some time with me on a very wet Wednesday and the remnants of a hurricane.
Yeah, man. Happy to be here. Happy to be dry inside the studio and looking forward to all the folks out there at the happy hour.
Yeah, absolutely. See you at the Royce Thursday, 4 to 7 p.m. And if you're listening to this afterward, well, we'll see you next time.
You missed out.
You missed out. It'll be great. All right. With that, I'm Jer Stays.
And I'm Norris Howard.
Thank you so much for listening to your Daily Detroit. Remember that you are somebody, and we'll see you around town.